Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, and man, I just feel like this story has been going on for such a long time and we're kind of coming to a close finally, which feels surreal because at one point I feel like it was everything, everywhere, all at once. Is that the title of the movie? I haven't seen it. So we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Holmes. Actually, 1 minute. So there's this news article that's titled Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes goes to prison end of April. Alright, so Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes will report to prison at the end of the month after losing bid to remain free while she appeals against her convictions. Holmes was sentenced to over 11 years in prison for defrauding investors in her blood testing startup. Now, they do give you a basic rundown of what happened if you don't recall what happened with Elizabeth Holmes. There is a TV show about it that I thought was really good and really interesting. I also have a couple of videos about Elizabeth Holmes if you want a rundown in more detail of what occurred. Basically, she tried to start a company that could allegedly test blood with just 1 drop of blood and tell you your health status, basically. The point was not just to tell you, yeah, you're healthy, you're not healthy. The way they marketed it was to make it seem like from this 1 drop of blood, they could get all types of information in terms of even conditions you might be predisposed to, you might have in the future. It was supposed to be this avant-garde kind of thing, which it really wasn't, but that's how they were selling it. So it was supposed to be this life-changing thing. That didn't work out. To be fair, it was life-changing, but only for Elizabeth Holmes because she's going to prison. Holmes was sentenced to over 11 years in prison for defrauding investors in her blood testing startup. A federal judge on Monday said Holmes failed to prove her appeals process would lead to a reversal of her case. She is scheduled to go to prison on April 27th. Holmes said she would raise substantial questions that could warrant a new trial. Her attorneys also argued she should remain free to care for her 2 young children, including one who was born this year. But in the Monday ruling, U.S. District Judge Edward Davila, Holmes had not proven her appeal would result in a new trial. Now, if you did follow what occurred, even if you didn't follow that closely, I don't even know what kind of new evidence you can show to prove that you weren't actually just being fraudulent as hell the whole time. Because, in my opinion, Elizabeth Holmes is just the biggest of con artists. The sole concept of convincing thousands of people, even in the industry, in the business, that you are capable of doing something that you're not capable of doing, on top of that, taking their money while you're not actually doing anything and you're fudging the results. How, like, what are you gonna say? Like, how do you change that? Because in this case, I could understand if it was like looking for evidence in terms of to prove I didn't do the thing. The whole case is about you doing the thing, as in the thing being fraud. So I don't know how you can kind of take away. I don't really know in what direction they were hoping for this to go in, but I truly don't understand. And as much as I make jokes at her expense, we do have to go back to the central and frankly fucking terrifying thing that is that people put their health to a certain extent in her/Theranos' hands. So we're not just talking about being fraudulent, but we're talking about what I would call moral bankruptcy. You're really taking money and promising people that you're going to help them with health conditions that they might have in the future or whatever, and you're running with it. So you have people's lives potentially on your hands, and you're just okay with selling them this trash 1 drop blood thing. I truly don't know how you can sleep at night knowing that that's what you're doing and continuing to try to pull it off, and on top of that, continuing to basically claim a certain level of innocence. Now, I'm sure that that's a legal strategy, but regardless, contrary to her suggestion that accuracy and reliability were central issues to her convictions, Ms. Holmes' misrepresentations to Theranos investors involved more than just whether Theranos technology worked as promised, he said. Prosecutors, meanwhile, had argued Holmes was the flight risk because she had booked a 1-way plane ticket to Mexico during her trial. Holmes' attorneys said she and her partner, Billy Evans, were planning to attend a wedding and hoped she would be acquitted. See, this is why I have to kind of laugh at this whole thing, because it's such a circus, because it's so Imagine being this unserious. Like, you fucked potentially with a bunch of people's health, you stole investors' money, you lied about what you can and can't do, as in you can't do anything and you can go to prison, and you're worried about attending someone's wedding. You're worried about being acquitted so you can attend someone. That's why I have to laugh to a certain degree, because it's like, bro, you're facing prison. Like, I wouldn't be picking out the dress you're gonna wear to the wedding. Truly not. I mean, the absolute lack of reality check here. And I think some of it also disturbs me, because you have to have a certain level of confidence that you're just going to be acquitted or you're not going to go to prison at all to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to attend that wedding. I'm already booking my tickets. Like, why do you think you're so protected? Like, why do you think you're so above the law? Like, I don't know. I just think that's absolutely insane. Okay, I guess. I hope your dress has a return policy. The ticket purchase was ill-advised, Judge Davila wrote in his ruling, though he added it did not constitute an attempt to flee. Booking international travel plans for a criminal defendant in anticipation of a complete defense victory is a bold move, and the failure to promptly cancel those plans after a guilty verdict is a perilously careless oversight, he said. Holmes was once hailed as the next Steve Jobs, and said to be the world's youngest self-made billionaire. So here we kind of go into a little bit of the history, which even if you do know what happened, I think it is important to hear it out loud again to contextualize, because as much as even I read about it, researched it, blah, blah, I feel like when we read this kind of news, having a little bit of a summary really makes it sink in how entirely fucked up this whole thing is. She launched Theranos after dropping out of Stanford University, but the startup fell apart in 2018 after it was revealed its technology did not work. The blood testing device was purported to be able to run a multitude of tests from just a few drops of blood. The company's infamous downfall was chronicled in a TV series, an HBO documentary, and a podcast. Holmes, who was found guilty of 4 counts of fraud last January, told the court at the time she felt deep pain for those misled by the scam. Whether she feels bad or not, obviously I'm never gonna know. I'm not in her head, thank God. But it's almost funny to me how you'll say that she feels deep pain because some people felt misled by the scam. Who was misleading them? Because last I checked, that was you. So just say you feel bad for what you did, but to put it as like you feel bad for people being misled by the scam puts such a degree of separation. It'd be like me saying, I feel bad for that one person who got into a car accident. Like, it has nothing to do with me and I feel bad for them. Here, though, you're literally the reason anything bad might have happened to these people or they went through whatever they went through. It's you. So you can't put this level of, oh, I feel bad that this might have happened to these people over there. No. It was entirely you and your fault, so. She's expected to make one more bid to remain free during the appeals process, which could take at least a year, to a San Francisco-based court that she has asked to overturn her conviction. The BBC has reached out to Holmes' attorneys for comment. Holmes' former business partner, Sunny Balwani, was sentenced to nearly 13 years in prison for fraud last year. So this article was published 16 hours ago as of when I'm filming. If there's anything new, I will link it down below. Honestly, I don't even know how you can expect to potentially appeal anything if your partner is going to prison for 13 years. Like, surely you can't believe that he's gonna go and you're not. Because that wouldn't even add up. Because as far as we know, I haven't looked into Sunny specifically, but as far as I recall, he was aware of what was going on. So how does that add up that he's aware of what's going on? What's going on was essentially Holmes's idea, as far as we know, in terms of all the scamming, the pretending, the defrauding, and he's gonna go and you're not. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's always the same thing with these cases when children are involved, in the sense of she has children. If she goes to prison, they'll be without their mother, which is obviously, I can't even imagine, but also, I don't even know how she can think that anything would prevent her from going to prison once it's been established that all of this was a massive scam. And I think there might also be something to be said about the fact that it's a long-term scam. Now, obviously, there's no good scam and bad scam, but I do think it hits people harder when they find out that someone's been lying for an extended period of time to a lot of people, doing presentations, being hailed as the next Steve Jobs, and they just kind of roll with all of it. And then after it's uncovered, like, oh shit, this person was full of it the entire time. I'm talking about that as opposed to someone hacking a PayPal. They're both fucked up, but I think this type of thing fucks people up more because it's not only premeditated, it's not only continuous lies, it's not only just covering up previous, failing at lying, previous lies that might not add up. It's just a continuous facade every single day for an extended period of time about people's health. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.